Hello everyone, welcome to the another video on my YouTube channel. In this video, we will talk about API and this will be the agenda for this video. First of all, we will see introduction, then we will see how API works, then types of APIs, API authentication and security, and a hands-on example, and at the last, conclusion. Let's start with the first point of this video. Introduction to APIs. API is Application Programming Interface. It is a bridge between two different softwares for communicating and work together. It also defines rules and protocols that developers have to use while developing applications. Let's see the example of API. Consider that you are a customer who is in hotel who also wants a food. Then what you will do, you will call a waiter and give them order of the food, and this waiter will go to the kitchen and bring your food, or we can say bring the food which you have ordered. So here order is a request and the food is the response, and we can say that waiter is API between kitchen and you. Now let's see how APIs work. Before understanding the working of API, we have to first understand what is client-server architecture. So in client-server architecture, there is a client, there is API, and there is a server. Client sends HTTP request to the API, and then API again makes a call to the server. Then server receives the request, it processes it, and again creates the response according to the request and sends it back to the API. And then again API sends that response to client in the format of JSON or XML. So this is how client server architecture works. So in case of API, we have to make a request for specific information. Then API delivers the response in structured data format like XML or JSON. Here, HTTP or HTTPS requests are used for communication between APIs and clients. Those requests are get, post, put, and delete. Now let's see the types of API. There are three main types of API. First one is web API. It is specifically designed for web applications and it is used in modern web applications. Second one, which is most popular, is RESTful APIs. REST stands for Representational State Transfer. It is an architecture principle for building scalable and flexible web services. It's also used HTTP methods like we have seen in the working of API, and it uses JSON format for data exchange. And third one is SOAP API. SOAP stands for Simple Object Access Protocol. It's mostly used in enterprise application because of its security features, and it uses XML format for communication. Now we will talk about API components. The first component is endpoints. Endpoints can be defined as specific URL on which we can send API requests. It represents a unique function or resource. Second component is request methods. Each endpoint has its own predefined HTTP or HTTP method. We can see those methods and endpoints in API's documentation. Those methods are get, post, put, delete, and each method has its own unique function. Third component is response formats. As we've seen in the working of API, API uses these two formats for communication. First one is JSON. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. It has key value pairs. And second one is XML. XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. Now we will discuss about the most important topic in API, that is API authentication and security. First of all, we will know the importance of security in API. Security in API prevents unauthorized data breaches and misuse of sensitive data. For security purpose, API uses authentication. It is a process of identity verification of requester or client. In authentication, there are four methods. First one is API keys. API keys is the most simple and widely used method. It's like password for API. We have to include API key in every API request. Second one is OAuth. It is mostly used in third-party access. In this method, token grants permission without revealing user's password. Third one is JWT, JSON Web Tokens. This method carries users' info. It is mostly used in stateless web application. And fourth one is HTTPS. It HTTPS protocols encrypts the data transmission between client and server. Now we are at the more interesting part of this video. In this part, we will see how to use API by using Python programming language. So I'm going to use this JSON plus product API. Here you can see that there is a guide section which provides examples of how to use API. These examples are in JavaScript language. But we will use these examples for implementing request code in Python programming. Now, let's start with the Python program. First of all, we have to import request module. If you haven't installed it on your computer, you can install it by this command pip install request. I have installed it on my computer. That's why I'm not going to install it right now. First of all, we have to create a URL for making API request. We are going to use this URL. First of all, we will see how to create a GET request. For fetching data of post, we have to first make post ID variable for getting the post ID from input. So post underscore ID is equal to input, enter post ID. We have to use this post ID in URL by using string concatenation in request call. So let's make a response variable for storing API response. Here we are going to use this syntax request dot get in bracket URL plus post ID. That's it. Now we will use response.json method for storing JSON response. Now we can print this response. Let's run this code. Here we have to input post ID number. Here we can see that we are getting this API response, user ID, title, body. We can also print user ID by using this method. Here we can see that we have printed user ID from the API response. Now we will see how to create post request. For creating post request, we have to first create three variables and store and take inputs from user. As we can see in their guide section, we have to take three variables: title, body, and user ID. So let's make those variables. Title. These are the details of post which we are going to send to the API. Now we have to make dictionary by using these three variables. We have to use these keys, these three keys in our dictionary. Here we will use this title variable, then body, then user ID. Now we have to use this dictionary in our post request. So let's create response variable request dot post in bracket URL. Here we have to use JSON parameter and we have to give data to send to it. Now we also have to use response.json method here. So response.json and then print response. Let's make this code comment. Let's enter a title as A, body as A, user ID as 2. Here we can see that this data has been sent to the API and new ID is created as 101. Now we will see how to make put request. Put request is used for updating the data. I'm commenting this code just just to focus on put request. So first of all, we have to create four variables: post ID to update, and we also have to take user inputs. Then this uh, three same variables we have to create here: title, body, and at the last user ID. Now we also have to make same dictionary for sending this data to the API. There will be first key ID, that will be post ID to update, then title, then body, then user ID. Now we have to use this same dictionary in our post request too. But first of all, we have to modify this URL because we want to update the details of first post. So let's create another variable, copy this URL, just add one at the last. Now we will use again create a response variable for storing API response, then request dot put in bracket URL update comma JSON is equal to data to update. Here again we have to use response.json method. And then print response. Let's run this code. Post ID will be 1, title will be Q, body will be R, user ID, just a random number. So here you can see that this data has been updated at the API. ID is 1, title is Q, body is R, and user ID is 3. We can also modify this put request code by adding just one variable, that is old post ID, and use it in our URL update variable by using string concatenation. So whenever user enters the old post ID, that ID will be used for updating the data. Now we will see the last method, which is delete method. So here we will use simple post ID variable to get ID of post which user want to delete, and use it in our URL variable by using string concatenation. So response is equal to request dot delete bracket URL, this URL plus post ID. Here I have to modify it, post ID underscore delete. That's it. Here we have, here also we have to use the response.json method. Then print response. Run this code. Enter a random number 1. So here we can see that it responded with an empty dictionary. For adding more user interactivity, I have modified this code and added this if-else ladder and while loop. I also created 4 functions like get request, post request, put request, and delete request. Let's see how this code runs. So user have to enter these numbers, like for getting a post, user have to enter 1. For creating a post, user have to enter 2. So let's see how we can get a request. So enter 1. For getting a post, we have to enter its ID 1. So here we can see that we get the post which has ID 1. Let's create a new post. So enter 2, enter its title A, enter its body B, enter its user ID as 3. So a new post has been created. Its title is A, body is B, and user ID is 3, and ID is 101. So let's update the post. So enter 3, it's past ID 1, new ID 2, new title double A, new body double B, user ID 2. So here we can see that the post has been updated. So let's see how to delete the post. So enter 4 and it's the post which we want to delete and its ID will be 1. So here we get the empty dictionary response. Now by entering 5, we can exit through this program. Now we are at the very last section of this video, that is conclusion. So in this video, we have seen what is API and how it works. Then we seen its types, its components, and security in API. So here we can say that the API is an essential tool for exchanging data between two applications. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this video very helpful to you, then don't forget to like it and subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you once again.